Okay, so things didn't go exactly as I planned. Right now we're next to the temple, and I'm sitting on a tree to give somewhat of an aesthetic vibe. So the sunset didn't set where I expected it to. I wanted to have a cigarette while I share this story for comforting reasons, I guess. And the conversations usually flow better with some nicotine. I'm not a smoker, not advocating nicotine or cigarettes, but don't do like I do. This is gonna be my most personal story yet. And it's called How Mushrooms Saved My Life. I'm gonna try and not include any names, but some names must be mentioned so you understand where I'm coming from. And I want to start by saying I grew up in a loving family, but they had some trauma growing up that they never really dealt with. So their trauma kind of bled onto me. And to give you a little bit background story, my dad, I love him. We have a really good relationship. And my mom, she's good now. Yeah, so let's go back to the beginning. My dad lost his dad at a very, very young age to heart failure. So he got brought up by a single mom. His brother turned into a junkie. So that's my dad's story summed up. And then we have my mom. She was abused by her grandfather for several years as a kid. And it went on for several years. And but she actually managed to become Norwegian champion in dancing and Scandinavian champion. So she have accomplished something. And she has a good heart, but maybe too good of a heart. Anywho, so my parents got married, they got me. They separated before I was 1 year old, I think. I don't know the exact details, but it doesn't really matter. But they were two broken people who found each other. I used to visit my dad every other weekend, and then I would live with my mom. I remember from a really, really young age, I had this strange existential crisis. I started asking the deep questions at a very, very young age. I remember actually very good the moment I became conscious. I think it was around like first to second grade, and I was gonna go to sleep, and I started to look at my hands, and I'm like, how did I get here? Who am I? And I had all this anxiety as a kid. I was a very, very, very shy kid. And all I wanted to do was to make my mom happy because, remember, she did the best she could with the card she was dealt. So thank you for that. But subconsciously, I took on her burdens from a really young age. I never really connected with people. I had friends, but no meaningful connections, you know. After I had this realization about life, and I was depressed as long as I can remember. I never really wanted to be alive. I didn't really find joy. I had of course I had some good moments, like I remember watching movies with my mom and my cousins, but those are just brief moments. But every time I would go to sleep at night, I had the feeling, I don't want to be here. What's the point of all of this? Yeah, I was very sensitive to the sadness, and there was so much sadness in my family because of my mother's trauma. And then on my dad's side, my uncle is a junkie. They separated. Everyone thought they were gonna have a happy marriage, yada yada yada. So the story is gonna turn very dramatic really quickly now. So I actually tried to kill myself for the first time, I think in third grade, when I was 8 or 9 years old. I'm gonna chain smoke this whole video. I don't remember what led up to it. I was just done. I hated school. I hated being at home. All I had was taking care of my mom. This is also right after my little brother was born. Yeah, so I got a stepfather also right before this. And in the beginning, it was very, very nice. We used to play games all night, but it was probably more good times than I can remember because I don't know the word. Your body forgets things. You hide memories. I don't know the word. You know what I mean. So they were arguing a lot, screaming a lot. He was an alcoholic, and yeah, they were too busy with their own shit. I didn't really get the love I needed. They did what they could. So again, they did what they could. They had good intentions. They just, sometimes it's not enough. So what happened, this was the first time. You know those keychains, you have your keys around, I used to have that. Yeah, one night it was just enough. I remember I'm 8 or 9 years old and it was already enough. And I've had the thought of it many times before. I couldn't do it because of my family. Like, they finding me, the thought of them finding me, and they thinking they're not good enough. But I just couldn't take it anymore. I just saw no purpose, no meaning. The world was so cruel. I felt like I had no people who truly lived around me, no happiness. It was all just sadness under the surface. Even at Christmas, it all felt forced. About this keychain, so I put it on a nail on the wall, and yeah, I was gonna basically hang myself. But lucky for me, the keychain snapped. I don't know how. My body was so small, but it did. I continued living after that and did the best with what I could, but things started getting really bad with my mom and stepfather. They were arguing so much, and I remember praying to God, crying very often, just please make them stop arguing, because I could hear them screaming and I was stuck in my room almost every night. And one thing I realized was, when I was at home, my stepfather was nicer to my mom. So I started skipping school, pretending like I was sick. I also had some really good moments though. Every summer my grandmother took me and my cousins to Spain, so I had some time off, and those are some really good moments I remember. But this is not about that. This is a sad video, and I'll talk more about the good stuff another time, but again, the title is How Did Mushrooms Save My Life? I'll tell you the sad shit. Things got really fucking bad. One time my mom got hit with a glass bottle in the head, and my little brother saw it. I think a year after I tried killing myself, we moved to almost the opposite side of Norway. Things were good for a little while, but we only lived there for almost a year. But things took an extremely dramatic turn there. An extremely dramatic turn. I don't know what led up to it, but they started arguing again. He was an extremely jealous person and an alcoholic. Basically anything could have triggered it. He ended up chasing her in the forest, trying to kill her. Luckily at the time I was visiting my dad, but my brother was still there. There was this whole news article in the biggest magazine in Norway about it, and we moved back. They separated for some time. And then came some good moments when we moved back, because then it was just me and my mom. I started enjoying life a little bit again because we got rid of that guy. But it didn't took the longest time, and he came back. She took him in again because she was so scared of being alone. So having someone is better than no one, or that's at least what you think where you're in that place. And to me, it was a really big burden that why am I not enough, you know? But my mom was so broken, and I couldn't understand it at the time. So I got more and more depressed. They were fighting more and more. He was drinking more and more. I never tried killing myself again, but I really fucking wanted to. I just saw no purpose, no future. I had no idea what to do with my life. So I told myself, I'm gonna survive until I'm 18, and if I've not find the solution by then, I'm gonna kill myself. That was the plan. When they got back together, I think, let's say I was 9 or 10, we had all this conversation, me and my mom, and I was begging her, why can't you just leave him? And she said, yes, I will, but it never happened. And this went on for 2 more years, and now I'm 12 years old. And nobody knew anything because I didn't talk about it. I basically packed all my stuff and I said I'm moving to dad because I can't live with you guys anymore. She accepted that. And I've actually said my whole childhood that I want to live with my dad when I get older too. My dad didn't know this, so it all came like a big surprise to him. I just packed everything I could and I moved to him. He lived 30 minutes away in another city. And when I moved there, things actually got a lot better, but it was just because I suppressed all my emotions and pretended like it never happened, and I got this fresh start. And I don't know how, but somehow I became not like the popular kid, but I was friends with everyone. I felt like I found my place there. I had a little community. I got attention from girls, so I was riding my BMX, doing some skateboarding. So I had my fun, but still every time when the night came, the feelings were always there, like I did not want to be here, but I'm gonna be here for them. So after I moved, they quickly found out what was going on there. So my brother moved to my grandma. My mom lost custody of her kids. She didn't deserve that. I think it was for the best, but no one could understand what really went down. She was just so broken. She needed love and support. After that, her new boyfriends were addicted to drugs. And sadly, she went down that path too, because I was so mad at her. Like, I hated her for what she had done. At the moment, I don't anymore. I love her. I know she didn't do it because she wanted to. She just wasn't strong enough. But she always did what she thought was the right thing, and she thought isolating was the best move. And I did visit her a couple of times, but boy, that was some... If I'm being honest, it was very, very traumatizing, because you could feel that these men are fucked up. And she also turned more and more... I couldn't recognize her anymore. So it got to the point where I cut all contact around when I was 15. So I finished, like, I think you call it primary school, like 1st to 10th grade. And then you need to choose like what you want to study. And I still had no fucking idea what to do. So I went to some sort of mechanic line. Fucking hated it. So fucking depressed still. And there were so many times I almost did it again, but thinking of my brothers and sister and dad and grandma and yeah, my whole family, I couldn't leave them behind. So a part of me had hope. So I dropped out. I started going to a psychologist, and apparently I had extreme severe depression or something, and I refused to take antidepressants, because it's like when you drive a car and the engine light is blinking. That's your depression. And taking an antidepressant is just turning the light off, but the engine is still broken. And I understood that from a really young age. I didn't want to do that, but I just couldn't understand how do I get rid of this feeling, because sometimes I have these moments of happiness, but why does it always fade away? The therapy didn't work, and I got more and more desperate. And now I'm like 17, 18 years old, and I tried going to school again, and this time I went into like healthcare kinda. I was 6 months in a kindergarten, 6 months in an elderly home, and I actually finished that. And that was actually a really nice experience. I liked it, but it was nothing I could do for the rest of my life. Again, I have no purpose, no direction. But I had my video games. I was really fucking good at video games, and I had this opportunity when I was 17 to move to the States and play professionally. But my family didn't believe in it, because they said I needed to go to school, it's so unpredictable. Yeah, I got no support and no interest, but they also did it with pure intentions, because they just wanted what was best for me. They wanted me to live a safe life. I didn't want to live a safe life. All I wanted to do was do what I love and be happy. So I started smoking weed, and that was like the first time I ever got peace. And then I really went down the rabbit hole of, because I've been told my whole life that weed is basically heroin, but it's not. And then I started questioning more things. So if they lied about this, what more did they lie about? And then mushrooms came up, and I heard some really good things about mushrooms, that it had cured depression in people. So I started doing my research, and I think I researched it for like half a year. I even read Terence McKenna's book. I watched so many testimonies on YouTube on how it helped other people and how to do it right. Because when you do mushrooms, it's so important you go in with an intention. You don't take it to trip or see funny colors or... No, this is a really, really, really powerful, insightful tool. And as I told you earlier, I'll quickly explain the science behind it before I get too crazy about it. So the first 7 years of your life is where most of your patterns in your brain are made because of neurogenesis, neuroplasticity. This is where most of your, how you view the world is created. And then from the age of 7 until your early 20s, you're basically finished, developed, and it's extremely hard to change after that. So now I think I'm 18 and I'm so fucking stuck. And all I can think about is I want to kill myself because I have no direction. I have no idea what to do. Or maybe I was 19. I think I did it when I started IT, because after that I went to IT, but I dropped out twice. So I don't remember if it was the first time or second time I did the mushrooms, but anywho, I did it with my closest friend at the time. I set the intention. I want to find out what's wrong with my brain and why I cannot be happy. So what you're supposed to do, you're not supposed to walk around in nature, or you can do that too, but if you really, really, really want to use it as a tool, it's when you close your eyes. Because most drugs like alcohol, nicotine, caffeine, sugar, and all the other drugs, it makes you go out of yourself. It makes you lose connection to who you are, and it put like a lid on your emotions. But the mushroom do the exact opposite. It's like a magnifying glass of what's actually going on. And I realized I knew I had so much issues with my childhood, my hatred toward my mom, especially my stepdad. At some point, I'm glad I didn't do it, but I was so out of it. I actually thought about killing myself and them at the darkest moments because I had so much hatred. I've never been an angry person. Like I've destroyed a couple of things when I play video games, but never been in any fights. Always been kind to others. Never even threw trash on the ground. I've always put trash in my pocket. I've always been very appreciative of everything. I just couldn't be happy. So back to the experience. Let me light this one up. It all started, you have the come up phase, then you have the peak, and you have the come down. So in the come up phase, I was just chatting with my friends, and I remember I had this soda called Urge, and I looked at it when the mushroom started kicking in, and it's like, ew, what the fuck? Why are we drinking this? Why are we putting this poison into our body? And then it like spiraled into other thoughts, like I was using nicotine pouches. Why am I putting all this poison into my body and expecting to feel good? I'm not giving my body what it needs. And then I got this extreme feeling of lightness in my body, like I've never felt before. And it was like the mushroom showed me, I know it sounds crazy, but it showed me what it's like to have a healthy body and a healthy mind. And for the first time, it was like all my baggage was removed, but I felt sober. I just saw everything so clearly. But what you're supposed to do when the peak is coming, you're supposed to lay down in a room by yourself and close your eyes and let the mushroom guide you, and whatever it shows you, it shows you. If it's your subconscious bringing up stuff, or if it's the mushroom guiding you, that's for up to you to decide. I'm just sharing my experience, but to me it felt like it's something outside of myself trying to show me something. So I started just laying there, closing my eyes, and my imagination was so vivid. I was trying to remember my childhood home, and it was like I was actually walking around in the house. And I could actually feel what I felt when I was a kid. And I was going through all of this traumatic experience and moments with a whole new pair of eyes. And I realized these people are just sick, like me. There are no grown-ups. They're just people that have lived more years. They've never dealt with their shit. They didn't go to therapy. They were just two broken people, too scared to be alone, and they were stupid enough to have a kid. You know, actually two. Going through all the memories, I realized they don't do this because they don't love me. They actually do love me. They just don't know how to show it. I start crying, and I cry like I never cried before. It's like feelings I've held in my whole life. I think I cried for at least an hour straight, but it felt so good because I never talked to anyone about anything. Nobody knew how bad it actually was. I never told anyone I was depressed. I was just pretending. I was just a quiet kid who said, yes, everything's okay when somebody asked. But deep down, I was fucking miserable. And then I asked my friend to come, and I cried with him for another hour, and I told him about everything. And after that day, with all that crying and realizations about my childhood, and it's like seeing colors for the first time and seeing what reality actually is. It's not like I understood everything at once, but compared to what I knew, it was like a whole new world. And I realized, like, wow, I can actually create my own life. I'm in control of it. I just have some battles to go through right now. After that, the depression was lifted. I didn't want to die anymore, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy, but I didn't want to die anymore. So that's how mushrooms saved my life. After that experience, and since that experience, I never wanted to kill myself again, because it gave me hope, and it showed me you can have a happy life too. Even if you come from a broken home, there's no need to be broken. And I have it tattooed right here. What is broken can be reforged. And since that day, I started to really analyze myself, like, who am I? My negative patterns. What negative patterns do I have? Because I told myself always, like, I was this good kid and it's enough as long as you're kind. But no. You're supposed to be a man. And I was so skinny. I weighed 54 kilograms at one point. 54 kilograms. And I'm 190 centimeters tall, 6'3" feet. I started going to the gym. I slowly built some confidence. Had some other experience with psychedelics after that, but that's for another time. Now I'm gonna tell you how I healed by that experience, and how you can have a downward spiral, but you can also have an upward spiral. And this whole experience started my upward spiral because I started taking accountability. So first I reached out to my mom. She was so sick. She was addicted to meth. She was so skinny, she weighed less than 40 kilos. It was really hard to get in touch with her, but I tried and I tried and I tried. And then she had a stroke one day. That's how I got access to her, because then I visited her at the hospital, and she fucking hates hospitals. She's so scared of them, because, rest in peace to my grandfather, but when she was really sick and he was always trying to help her, he got so sick in the process of trying to help her, he actually got insane. So he got put into a mental hospital, and yeah, so she was scared the same was gonna happen to her, I think. I think that's from my experience, I cannot talk for her. I started this process of accepting her and showing her love, because I realized there's this really good experiment with rats. Okay, let me just explain the experiment they did. So you have one rat alone in one cage, and in the other cage you have several rats with like a rat theme park. And if you give the rat that's alone heroin, it will take heroin until it dies. If you give the other rat that have friends and something to do, it will take heroin once and never again. And that was one of the realizations I had. Like, my mom, she had this terrible childhood. Then she gets into this abusive relationship. Then she loses her fucking kids. What else is she gonna do? Because she don't want to kill herself, because she also don't want to leave her kids behind. So she did what she thought she needed to survive. My last 5 years before moving here to Thailand, I helped her become drug-free. She actually became drug-free extremely fast, but helping her become a normal person again was extremely difficult. She had so much anxiety. Just going to the shopping mall was like the biggest task ever. So I became like her guardian. And I as soon as I started this process of helping her, that's when my happiness came. And since that day, I've been happy. So the reason I wasn't happy is because I've been living an extremely selfish life. I abandoned my mom. You can say I was a kid, but I still abandoned her. And you cannot lie to your subconscious. And especially as a man, you're supposed to provide and protect. And how can you be a man if you can't even protect your own mother, right? So even these years were the hardest years of my life. It was the happiest I've ever been. And the house she was living in, bro, is worse than those shows. Like, we filled up containers on containers on containers with trash and needles, and it was so fucking disgusting. In the other video, I told briefly about the last year before I moved with that crazy guy and the restraining order, but I'll save that for another time. It ended good, but so if you have any more questions, I'm gonna make a part 2 and go more in depth. But yeah, that's how mushrooms saved my life, because it showed me most people aren't bad. There are very, very few people who have malicious intent. There's so few of them. It's just we have so many lost and broken souls. And then it's up to you to break the generational trauma and fix yourself first so you can teach others. And that's what I want to do. I want to share my story. I'm not saying you need to take mushrooms. I was extremely desperate. It's a tool that can be used if needed. And there's this really good saying, once you get the message, hang up the phone. So the mushroom isn't exactly a cure, but it will help put light on what's need to be put light on. Pretending you're trying to sail to a specific island, but it's so foggy and you have no idea how to get to that island. And when you're in this state, it removes all the fog so you can see which direction you need to sail. So yeah, that's how it all started, and it's been an upward spiral since then. And now I'm here living my dream life in Thailand. It's better than I could ever imagine. I'm truly happy. I wake up excited every day. I get to do what I love every day. I have genuine connections. I don't feel alone anymore. And I'm truly happy and grateful to be alive. And it all started by putting the world first, by helping others. But you need to fix yourself first. So moral of the story, stop lying to yourself. Like, I knew what was the problem. I just wasn't brave enough to face my demons. Yeah, I don't remember if I said it, but I also shook the hand of my stepfather and said I forgive him. And I told him all the stuff he did to me mentally. He never abused me or anything like that. It's just his trauma bled onto me. And he's still an alcoholic to this day. I have nothing to do with him. But I think my mom is in as a good place she can be. And they have a good relationship with my dad. He visited a couple months ago, and he's gonna come again for my birthday in 6 months, in January. So yeah, life is good. Life is good. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just gotta do the work and be honest with yourself. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. But you actually truly need to want it though. Change doesn't just happen. You need to work. Every single day you need to be there for yourself so you don't fall back into the bad habits, the self-sabotage, the bad friends. I think that's that. Thank you for watching. That's how mushrooms saved my life. Peace.